Are you going to do local recording? Oh, you get better quality that way, yeah. Hey,
And we're recording.
what is up? Hello and welcome everybody to the 24th episode of
Yes, sir.
Hell in a Handbasket. I feel like 24 was an easy one to remember because it's always a dire situation, and there's like that show. Remember, like you know the term propaganda? Have you ever heard of this term?
No, I've never
So
seen that
like
show. By the way, I hear it's good, but I've never watched it.
I mean, it's basically okay. It's propaganda, but like for the terrorism age. So what propaganda is like if you ever notice, like if you ever watch like those Law and Order SVU, Special Victims Unit or some shit, and it's like, oh no, the police officer must violate the rights of the average citizen. It's the only way, and they're the
Right.
good guy. You're supposed to feel like you're on the side of them, right? And it's like you look at people and there's like certain class of people that just really think the cops are the good guys, and I think that for them maybe the cops can be more of the good guys than they are for other types of than the experience of other like minorities, for example, right? I don't know, but so propaganda is basically that kind of subtle brainwashing to learn like to defer to the authorities and understand that, oh well, so in 24 it's like that, but it was like I don't remember it exactly. It was like the guy's got 24 hours to uncover some terrorist plot or stop some terrorist shit. And, it's like during the 9/11 era. So right at the time when they were doing the Patriot Act and violating all our rights and getting rid of all that, they were displaying this, oh my gosh, the threat is real. It's here, and within 24 hours, it's kind of like, but it was not a bad show. I mean, it was good for what it was.
There was another show of a CIA woman. Claire Danes was the actress.
Who?
And Claire Danes, I think her name was.
Okay.
But
see, I'm not a big movie person.
I think it called Homeland? Yes, I think it was called Homeland.
Oh, I've heard about this. I've heard this controversy where she apparently said something like admitted some shit. I don't remember, like something about CIA being in on writing scripts for shows for like decades or some shit.
Yeah, it's like she seems like a bit of an airhead, right? And she was on this show, and I recall the show. I think I watched the first season of it. It wasn't a bad show, and she was basically like a CIA operative over in the Middle East somewhere, and she was on some talk show, like one of these Letterman type deals, and she basically let the cat out of the bag and talking about how she had a handler and
it might have been the Colbert Report. It might, or not the Colbert Report, because I guess that was Stephen Colbert's old show. But the Stephen Colbert, whatever it is, late night or whatever the fuck. I think so, because he shut her up. I think it was if I remember, the Jimmy Dore show made light of it. Okay, so yeah, I'm fucking exhausted today, and as Nanya and I were discussing, do you mind sharing my screen? As Nanya and I were discussing, like I have, so we had a completely different show plan for today. Originally, we were gonna be recording on Friday. So what is today? Today is the 14th. Sorry, 14th, the 16th. Goddamn, that's how tired I am. I'm out of it. I had a really full day, and yesterday was Father's Day. Yesterday was the 15th. Today's the 16th. And we were going to be recording last week. However, because of the nature of what we were going to be talking about, which was the Sahel, Burkina Faso, that entire region, I had to do a lot more reading up on it. So Nanya was like, all right, let's put it off till like first late last week, and then like maybe early this week. And then, of course, what happened? Well, World War III seems to have broken out, all but on the verge of breaking out. So we can't not talk about Israel-Iran. We can't not talk about it. We have to.
No. So what do you think?
So what do I think? So my plan here, because I have no plan and I'm winging this, is I'm like I have no opportunity to do any research today. I was busy working, so I was going to be just looking through the different kinds of propaganda and see what there is and see what we're being told by the other sides, because it's too early. Everything is going to be hella propagandized in this environment. That's one thing we learned from the Ukraine war, right? Is remember how right away, like the information environment was saturated, and it was completely, especially if you were out in the West. They even pulled RT off of YouTube and stuff. I remember like it was hard to get access to Russian media for a while. So it was a very charged information environment, and I think that this is going to be a very charged information environment as well for a while. However, um, we can already start to glean at least what the different narratives are, and that's kind of, I mean, that's my approach a lot of the time to this whole thing. So I don't know. Here, I pulled up MSN because I'm using Edge browser, which you shouldn't do, but I guess in order for me to be able to record on StreamYard, I have to use Edge because other browsers don't seem to work for me. So of course I'm stuck with their freaking loading screen, with their homepage screen, because I don't want to freaking change anything, right? And what do we have in terms of Israel, Iran? Go ahead.
Well, this kind of sets the table for the side of the West, I think. So this statement came out today.
Let's just dive into that. Okay.
And so the G7 is happening in Canada this week, and this is the draft G7 statement. And you know, it's typical. It's what you'd expect from the G7, talking out of both sides of their mouths. So Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, and Israel has the right to self-defense. Like, it's such a contrary, out of sorts statement, because anyone with a 2-cent brain would know that Israel was the one who started this. So it was very clear that they attacked Iran. They said that they preemptively attacked Iran.
They admit they attacked Iran, right?
They admit they attacked Iran. So what are they talking about here? And this is why everybody is moving away from the West, the G7, whatever we want to call it. Everybody, the rest of the world is moving away from us because of just gangsterism like this, you know? Like, we don't stand for anything at all.
Well, we blew our load, basically, you could say. We shot early. We used the legitimacy that we that we sort of kind of gained, and not everybody was fooled by it. The Russians started to figure out better than, the North Koreans always knew. The Iranians, of course, always knew. But we had some kind of a measure of legitimacy with this whole international law thing, and look at what we did. And what did we do? Over, I don't know, like, what is this? Over political expediency? Over Trump's actual, maybe Trump really has these hardcore Zionist views? I have no idea. But like, congratulations, look what you did. And like you said, a lot of that is a leg of American soft power. That whole international law legitimacy facade thing. That, like, how could we be this so stupid to screw ourselves like this? But anyway,
it's all gone now. And
yeah, it's gone.
You know, we can. A lot of people, history will point at Trump and blame Trump for a lot of things. But we have to be aware as well that this all precedes Trump.
Yeah.
Like, when I think about the decline of America, I mean, you're really looking at going back 25 years ago, when you think about it, to 9/11. I think that was just as good a date as any.
That's where it started to be like really well. It was probably before then it started, but that's where they started to go like full bore. They started like they stopped hiding it so much. It was like,
yeah. I mean,
the Patriot Act. What the heck was that? Like, the Patriot Act was, even everybody's hair was on fire at the time, and that was before alternative news. I was listening to NPR.
You had the whole NATO invasion of Yugoslavia, and then you had 9/11.
So I think that's when the Russians figured it out.
Yeah, that then you had, most of the world figured it out after 99. and they started preparing for it then probably. And then you had 9/11, then you had Iraq, you had Afghanistan, we could go down the list. But basically, the last 25 years has just been, the US and its allies tripping over ourselves and making really stupid moves while the rest of the world just continues to grow and to do their own thing. And it's caught up to us now. And I don't think, like the G7 used to be a big deal, right? Like 20 years ago.
It was the big deal.
It was
The
the
big deal.
deal. Like
The
every
big
quarter.
seven.
Yeah, every quarter you would hear about the G7. Nowadays, the G7 is so irrelevant, the protesters don't even show up anymore. They don't. Like there used to be a time when a G7 protest was big news too. Nobody's protesting. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this bunch anymore. You know, so it's kind of symbolic of where we're heading. I think.
The world has moved on.
Yeah, the world's just moving on. So, and this is so representative of that. I think you've got basically every country in the world who is lining up in support of Palestine, with the exception of like the U.S. and some of the U.S.'s vassals, like your Germanys of the world, and they're kind of playing cutesy, but they're all on board with it too. So we lack the morals and we lack the values that we go around telling the world that everybody should have. We don't have any of them. That's clear to me.
Well,
So
it's been clear to people like us for a while, but now it's apparent. We just lost all pretense of that legitimacy. It's gone. Like this is what, like I was saying, like, and what did we blow it on over on? Okay, so I guess you could say the Ukraine war and Zionism. Even in a way, you could say that COVID even gave like a boost. Like a boost of a little bit of extra compliance. People were in their houses. They accepted, they accepted an inch. Maybe you could have gone away with a little bit of whatever. But then people stopped buying. Okay, so first of all, how bad is it looking that that we're losing the Ukraine war, right? That's a disaster. So those people are going to lose their legitimacy completely, done and dusted over that. But even besides that, this whole leg of soft power, like I was talking about, where you don't have a right to talk to anybody anymore. You don't have nobody's going to buy it. And like you said, like we were just saying, the world's moved on. So are we looking at that article, or are we going to share my screen? Because I'm pulling up
sure.
Iranian Republic News Agency here.
Yeah, we even had Trump saying today, "Oh yeah, we should get Putin involved. He can help mediate." Like, can you imagine the Macrons of the world and the Starmers of the world and the Ursula von der Leyens of the world listening to Trump say this at a G7? Like the guy came out and said, "Yeah, we should invite Russia back to the G8, and we should invite China too."
But what is this? Is this him saying, "Please pull my goose out of the fire"?
I think the guy I think he's just so shell shocked in the last several months of his presidency since he started. I think the guy's finished. I think he's done. I really do. I think he doesn't know what's the saying? He doesn't know whether wind his ass or scratch his watch.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of MAGA people are probably still on board. He's got a little bit of that cult of personality thing going on. I think that's why they're worried. That's what they really hate about Trump, is that he's got his blind followers, kind of.
He does, but I think those followers are peeling away in record numbers. Like, man, when that inflation hits Walmart, give it a few months, right? Because this stuff all lags, right? So all these tariff stuffs, you're not going to feel the impact right away. So when you have some disingenuous cocksucker like Scott Bessent talking about, oh, there's no inflation. Look at the April report. There's no inflation. Inflation's at 2.5 or whatever he's saying. He knows as well as everybody does. These things lag. So talk to me in 6 months. Talk to me in a year. Talk to me in 2 years. You're going to see massive inflation. I think you're already starting to see that in places like Walmart. They've already started raising their prices. And
Yeah.
a lot
Dude,
of
I
those
just
NAFTA
realized
people
coffee
rely
went
on
up in price like crazy. I was like, oh my gosh.
that.
I paid like $16 for like less than a pound of coffee. I was like, God damn,
Yeah.
that's insane. I was
Well,
like, wow, that's crazy. And
but
it's like I heard a dude that was that lived through the they lived through Yugoslavia, and he was saying, "Hey, listen, I don't know if you guys are gonna have a civil war over there or not. Of course, Nanya, we know, thinks it's inevitable." He's like, one thing I can tell you is somebody who lived through a civil war, have coffee and have tobacco on you, and it's like it's very very important goods that you can trade a lot for. People will trade you very valuable stuff for that. People will risk their necks and
yeah.
go without food if they're really fiending for cigarettes. I'm like, yeah, that's interesting.
Well, just to be clear, I've never said that there'd be a civil war. I said there'd be a revolution, right?
Sorry,
That's different.
sorry, my bad,
I
my bad.
I
Yes,
think you're starting to see that with the woman in Minnesota getting shot and the other guy getting shot. I think you're just going to see a lot of people. There's a lot of Luigi's out there. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's what I mean.
And you're going to see a lot more of that as people become more angry and more desperate. And they're going to point their anger on the people that they perceive are screwing them over. That's going to be our politicians, the management class. That's going to be the CEOs of these big companies. That's going to be, could be anybody really. Like once you get to that point, you're nuts, right? So I think we're going to see a lot more of that stuff, and eventually, I think.
Pressure release valve, limited hangout. But anyway, let's
Well,
share my screen. Go ahead.
but I don't see that happening so much as in the US. I can see like lots of protests and stuff, but certainly a country in Europe, I can see it happening in a European country somewhere for sure.
Like, what do you mean?
Like a military coup. Just get out of here. We're done with all of you.
I don't know, man. Like Romania or something.
Yeah.
They just finally have it. They're like, that's
Or
it.
like Spain would just be like, screw this Sanchez guy. Let's go back to the old ways. you know? Or Italy. I don't know. But no, man, I think it's going to get real bad. And this is our official message, right? Like I'm so embarrassed and I'm so ashamed of my country. So ashamed.
Yeah. Well, it's like of our leadership. That's how I put it. Like our quote unquote leadership. It's like this is why I think we have experts that constantly say this peak Soviet Union, because like think about like increasingly geriatric elite group of people that uh it's like they're like becoming it feeding on each other. So the bureaucracy that created them, it's like this like incestuous thing where they believe crazy stuff. It's almost like a cult. You have to believe crazy things about the Russians or things like this. It's like it becomes its own thing. So, and yeah, like I could see that, like under the weight of that system, you could have Joe Biden, the auto pen president, and they're still trying to cover for him. Like that's crazy. Like what?
Yeah.
To see that's crazy. Like imagine saying that's something that we would typically think of as the Soviet Union doing something like this. We're living through it. But anyway, I don't know. Are you sharing my screen or not? Oh yeah, you are. Okay, cool. So okay, this is Iranian propaganda, June 17th, 2025. I mean, that's the date right there, right? So I don't know. But anyway, potent warheads being used on Iranian missiles are rendering Israeli underground shelters ineffective and bringing horror to the Israelis under the ground. So this is interesting. Apparently, the Iranians have excellent concrete bunkers, and the Iranians have excellent reinforced concrete material science, actually, apparently. So bunker busters aren't as effective as apparently Iran's are against Israel. Tehran, Israelis have been spending most of the day and night in underground shelters since June 13th, when Tel Aviv regime started a war of aggression against Iran and the Islamic Republic began punitive strikes. I love how they put this, like, the Tel Aviv regime started a war, because, like, think about what Benjamin Netanyahu keeps saying. He's like, it's time for the Iranian people to rise up and, you know, kick away, you know, the evil regime, and the Iranians are doing the same thing back. Actually, the regime is you guys, because I mean, everybody knows that Yahoo's not popular. He was not popular before the war started, right? So, which is the regime? You know, that has already effectively brought day life in Israel to a halt. Sirens sounded across the Israeli-occupied territories, almost incessantly sending people to shelters in fear of Iranian strikes. People had to keep returning to shelters as the strikes kept coming. Many chose to spend the nights inside the bunkers to avoid the constant back and forth.
Stop for a sec. Could I show you something real quick? Let me show you one of those shelters in question.
Okay.
I saw this and I was just like, it was one of the shelters, and they were preventing non-Jews from going in.
Are you fucking kidding me?
According to this, yes. Now I don't speak Hebrew, so I don't know for sure.
Back, I got into an eBay.
Wrong one. Where is it?
Not about the eBay bidding war. Oh, no, that does sound interesting. I'd like to hear about this eBay bidding war.
I will tell you about that. I got some good stuff, man.
Nice. Man, I have not been on an eBay in a while. They freaking changed their terms of service. I don't know, man.
Well, they started charging tariffs.
If you buy things internationally or just on eBay? Because you're in Canada, or?
Yeah, for me to import stuff from the U.S., I get charged tariffs now. So I just stopped ordering stuff from the U.S.
Freaking Craigslist, bro. Craigslist still exists all this time. I still use Craigslist. I love Craigslist.
Yeah, really?
I fucking love Craigslist. No, I go to Craigslist. There's people that use Craigslist. It's an underground community of people that are awesome. All of the crazy sex perverts, they've already moved on to TikTok and whatever. Roblox, probably. And Craigslist is now people that are just seriously trying to I've bought so much stuff from Craigslist.
Really? Okay.
Yes,
cool.
Recently. I don't know. I don't know how it is over there.
So this is one of those shelters that they were talking about.
Let's do it. Can't wait to see it. Are you serious?
Yeah. So there you go.
The most, oh my gosh. Congratulations,
most
guys.
moral people in the world, I tell you.
The most moral army in the world, which is always just a joke. Like, this should make your hair stand on fire. Most moral army in the world. Excuse me, what? But yeah, but that right there is just, what do you guys need to have more shit? Like, you need to be shat on even more? What? You guys are unpopular enough after trying to commit a genocide? Okay. I have a perspective. I think maybe we'll talk about what I think is how this thing is gonna play out. And I think that Israel is going to get their comeuppance for pulling this shit. It's like I saw some of these memes on the internet. Pray for me, I punched my neighbor. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. Let's go back to reading the article. Okay, the potent warheads being used on Iranian missiles are now rendering the shelters ineffective, bringing horror to Israelis under the ground. Footage captured by Israelis using mobile phone cameras has appeared, showing the inside of shelters and mayhem following Iranian strikes. The hardened walls and ceilings can be seen having collapsed on the Israelis' heads. People panic and in disbelief fumble around for help. They can't say they weren't warned. Oh my gosh, dude. What did they think was going to happen? Islamic Republic of Iran armed forces earlier issued warnings to the Israelis to leave the occupied territories altogether and not assume that underground shelters would offer them protection while the war of aggression was being waged on Iran. Warnings for you in the coming days: leave the occupied territories because certainly they won't be inhabitable in the future. Colonel Reza Sayed, I don't know, spokesperson of the armed forces, said on Sunday, shortly after a new wave of Iranian strikes began against Israel. Yeah, like, oh my gosh, excellent. This is good propaganda. Colonel Sayed warned the Israelis to leave and not let the criminal Israeli regime use you as human shields. He said specifically that after taking shelter underground will not bring safety to the Israelis. The Israeli regime began strikes inside Iranian territory, including on residential buildings, in an unprovoked act of aggression overnight on June 13th. Top Iranian military officials were assassinated, targeted strikes, civilians died, houses were directly struck, entire population centers were affected. Yeah, so here's what I think they were trying to do, man. I talked about this on open mic last night. This is probably what they were thinking, man. They probably thought they could have achieve some kind of a decapitation effect. And
that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they are fools. If Iran, if you're going to try to pick a fight with Iran, this is the same situation as Ukraine and Russia. Like, don't pick a fight with Russia. Even if the Russians, maybe America NATO can come in there and whatever, you can't do this. Like, you're basically doing that old adage of writing checks that your body can't cash. Why would you do this? This is stupid. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked that this happened. I'm just as shocked as when the Russians invaded Ukraine, to be fair, because
I think the answer is real simple. They expect the U.S. to join in and invade.
And we kind of have already, right? We've already used our anti-air missiles to try to take out Iran's rockets and failed. I can't wait to. I know that there's been some content about this. I can't wait to see Iranian hypersonic rockets. I've been seeing how they hit. It's scary shit, man. And I always say, I don't think anybody can shoot down these hypersonic rockets. Ukraine goes out there and says, "Oh yeah, we shot down 12 out of 27 Kinjal rockets." Bullshit. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either. Like, when you were, there's countless videos of strikes on Twitter of these Iranian missiles, and like you said, like, the speed of them are just incredible. And I can't imagine if you were to intercept it, it would probably be by luck and little else,
by accident.
And the thing about the Israelis, they keep a pretty tight lid on the news over there, right? In getting out. So
yeah,
we've seen some videos and stuff that people have taken on their phones and whatever, but they've threatened everybody over there. If you post anything on social media of any of this, we're going to arrest you. We're going to charge you. Like, they've told the citizens that over there. So,
yeah, I think democracy. That now, see, this is why this rally around the flag effect works, right? Because now the Israelis are going to lock arms because now they're under threat. Even though Benjamin Netanyahu started this crap,
I think it's the opposite.
You think so?
I think it's the absolute opposite. Yeah, I think the Iranians are the ones who are rallying around the flag, and the Israelis are and the Israelis are probably looking up, saying, "Please make this stop." Because keep in mind, they're not used to this. They're not used to getting missiles dropped on their heads. Like, these people are not. They're not built for war. So I think they'll want to get it over with pretty quick. Now,
I won't even say that. Like, I'll give the Israelis more credit. Maybe they are built for a kind of war. Look at the kind of war that they the pager explosion war. Okay, the taking out a couple of Iran's nuclear scientists. Okay, they're built for that kind of war. They're not built for a war like this. Like, look at these pictures. You see this? This is what the kind of war that they're not built for. And the fact that they went for it, the fact that they did this, what were they thinking? And the fact that Iran is giving them a way out. This is like so magnanimous. Iran is saying, "Hey, the fatwa on nuclear weapons is still in effect. Like, we're still willing to play ball. Don't make us go there. The Israelis can still back off and be like, oh, we showed them and they promised us they won't make this nuke, and yeah, maybe like make some kind of additional thing, and we're gonna have a satellite in space that's going to be paying attention to their rocket facilities or something, so they don't have a delivery.
I don't know,
something,
dude.
some kind of thing. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
If I'm the Iranians, I'd be developing that weapon right now as we speak. I'd just be like, you know what? Yeah, and I'm sure they are, because why wouldn't they?
At this point in time,
well,
it's
why
like
wouldn't they?
For world peace. It's like at this point, this is literally what needs to happen for a world peace is for Iran to have a nuke and for it to be in North Korea's position where you don't want to mess with it anymore, because like
well, I think that's where they're going to go now for sure, and I think that's unfortunate because they seem to be willing to negotiate a deal, and I think the only hope that the world has right now of Iran not getting a nuclear weapon is Vladimir Putin, is whether or not Putin can convince them to not develop it and offer them safeguards or whatever. But honestly, at this point, if I was Iran, I'd be like, China. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, I'd be like, thanks, but no thanks.
China more than Russia, because if China does what they've been doing, which I think is the biggest indicator, for me, the most important thing that's happened all war so far is not the fact that apparently Iron Dome was hacked. It was the fact that China is backing up Iran. They're shipping them stuff. That's a big deal, because if that's their logistics, like China through Pakistan, they could send through Afghanistan, whatever. Like, they can get there. I mean, I got to look at a map. How does it even look?
Yeah, but she's not a player in this, but Putin can be, right? And that's why I'm saying any hope that we have, that the world has, of Iran not acquiring a nuclear weapon is up to Vladimir Putin at this point. And I don't think he can, because if I was the Iranians, I'd be like, you know what? We're so done with this bunch. We're just going to acquire the weapon and call it a day. That's what I'd be doing.
But let's see here. World map. Let's see. Can I see something that shows me a little bit more of like, come on. That's going to be Iran, right? I don't know. No, I can't.
That's India, man.
Yeah, I can't. It's India, Saudi Arabia right there, Yemen right there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, you missed it.
No, I have to see something that shows me literally. Dude, I am going to, okay, see Afghanistan right there, Pakistan, okay, Turkmenistan right there. Okay, now I got to see, okay, let's see here. India, Iran, world map here. No, but I need the countries, dude.
What is it that you're trying to do?
I'm trying to look at how the hell China is going to be supplying Iran if they end up doing this. Okay, China, Iran, world map.
They'll just fly it there, dude.
Here we go.
Nobody's gonna mess with China.
Okay, the Kazakhstan. Okay, so here, no, this is. I think this is pretty good. Okay, we can take a look at the fact that can I like see a bigger picture? God damn, dude, I hate my life. What is this bullshit? All right, China. Open image in new tab. Can I zoom in on this freaking image? Okay, here we go. Fine. China. Okay, we have Kyrgyzstan right here. Uzbekistan. Afghanistan. Okay, in order for them to go through Afghanistan, they have to go through Tajikistan. Pakistan.
Yeah, but you're assuming that China is some little banana republic who needs to sneak things around. No, they'll just put it on airplanes and fly it directly to Tehran. Nobody's going to mess with the Chinese. That's all will happen. Same thing that happens. They'll just fly it directly to Tehran. No one's going to mess with them. You don't have to work out a route. This is China we're talking about.
But basically, we can see this is like, okay, Russia and Ukraine, right? Let's take a look. See, this is right here. countries that are very close, right? Their logistics tail is going to be very close. Okay, this is a little bit further, but this is way closer than us, right? We're way further away from Iran. So we're not going to be able to, okay, Syria right here, Iraq, Syria. I mean, Turkey is going to be, I think, probably neutral, right? Turkey's not going to, we guess, it remains to be seen what Erdogan does.
Well, I mean, Erdogan is too busy in Syria, like, you know, and that's why none of this is going to happen. Like, like we're talking about a hypothetical war that's just not going to happen. So, yeah, I think Iran and Israel are going to punch each other out. They're going to throw some missiles at each other for a couple days, and that'll be it. Right? They're not going to drag the U.S. into this, so nothing will come of this.
I hope not. I hope that Donald Trump has enough of a presence of mind not to freaking get involved in this massive.
They don't have the cards, to use a Trump term. There's no weapons left, man. There's no capability left.
Exactly. So, but see, when did it stop them? When did obvious common sense ever stop them? And this is how the Ukraine war started.
When the other side said fuck this and started lobbing missiles back, like, and this is, we talked about this before. You can talk tough and you can say that you're the baddest guy on the block, but eventually someone's going to punch you in the face. Bad Leroy Brown. Yep. And I think that the U.S. doesn't want to engage in Iran because they know that Iran is, you know, Iran's a tough country to beat. Particularly to your point. Well, particularly to your point, given that the U.S. is literally thousands of miles away, right? How are you going to fight a war like that? You can't, right? This is not 1990 anymore. You know, nobody's going to let them stage a military on their home soil or anywhere, and nobody is going to allow it to be staged, right? So as soon as you start to see a big mass up of forces and stuff, you talk about preemptive attacks, there's one for you, right? They'll just wipe them out, you know? Like,
and I think Iran is showing that they will do it. Like, they're saying that we will do it. They're not, they're warning us, and they believe them.
Yeah,
they're saying don't fuck us. They're experiencing a existential fight for survival. Yep. This is not. Don't test.
And that's why the U.S. will back down. Just mark my words, that will happen. And then Israel will be standing there with their dicks in their hands, and then they'll just say, "Oh well," and they'll go off to their own corners, and then it'll be done.
Well, this is why I think
Iran will get a nuclear weapon. That's what'll happen.
Well. Oh my gosh, dude. What a disaster. This better end fast, because like I am so worried about World War III right now. Okay. This is I think this says a lot right here.
You're good. We're not
well, you're completely putting your mind at ease. You're saying that they have at least enough brains. Okay, look, brain cells to even Trump understands that this is a bad idea.
It's not so much about having the brains. It's more so about having the ability to fight it. And the fact that there are much bigger problems going on right now than any of this nonsense, right? Like the U.S. is hemorrhaging economically, and so are its partners, right? Like we're all in the decline. This should be priority number one, not playing whack-a-mole with.
That's
with
why they're doing this. They're trying to. Okay, so
no, I realize that.
Fucked up Ukraine. They were going to eat Ukraine. Yeah. If they could have eaten Ukraine, imagine what kind of a boon that would have been. I don't agree with like Craig, you know, CH from DP Open Mic is always like, yeah, resources don't actually matter because, you know, alchemy and magic. I'm like, you know, I don't agree with that. I think that resources matter. The ability to refine resources matters. When China says we're going to stop exporting a rare earth to the United States, that makes a difference in our logistics tail, and we can see that these things do have an effect. But what I was going to say is, I think this says a lot right here. Look, I mean, look at the freaking Europeans. Why are they being more royalist than the king, right? As they say. Donald Trump refused to sign this joint statement, and look how they put it. Calling for de-escalation between Israel and Iran. Oh, okay. What are they actually called for? Draft statement, which had been spearheaded by European officials at the summit, says Israel has a right to defend itself and Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. Oh, I see. That's their compromise. Do what Israel says.
Why is that problematic for Trump to sign? Like, I don't understand.
Because he's trying to both sides of it. He's trying to not do it. Look, he knows his Israel bona fides aren't he's got a little bit of roadway where he can use that space. I think he understands that, and look, he's trying to actually not be involved in this. I think Trump actually wants to back out. To your point, either he knows or has a gut feeling, or this is indicative of actual American policy, and Trump is actually doing the thing where he's like, I'm cool on this. I'm cool on this.
But here's my thing. Trump has actually said these things, and he said these things recently in the last several days. Like, he's the one who's saying that Israel has the right to defend themselves. He's the one that says that Iran can't have a weapon.
He's afraid of closing the door completely. I think that says something. I might, the way I'm reading this, the fact that this is an easy win. It's just laying there, just take it, right? It would have cost him nothing to just put his name there, right? He refused to do it. He's showing a sign to Iran, like, hey, and what did he say? What Russia should be involved in this process? Whoa! That's not what they want to hear. They want to be super big and super serious with their draft statement, And Trump is not doing the thing. So I think that says something, where he's like, actually, well, the big boys that can actually do something about this is Xi Jinping, and they're not here. They're not you. Trump's decision not to sign the statement was an immediate divide with his counterparts at the summit. See what I'm saying? Hours before the conference was set to convene talks among European officials, hoping to finalize a consensus among the leaders about the Middle East situation. Who tried to take lead on this? Macron, Merz, Starmer. Here they are. All three of these, the freaking three stooges, were hoping to finalize a consensus among the leaders about the Middle East situation. They're trying to freaking be the captain of the EU, Trump questioned the utility of multilateral organization. I don't think that's really what it is. Okay, under strong leadership. Trump, okay. Who is saying this? Whose statement is this? White House officials said, okay, so under the strong leadership of Trump, U.S. is back to leading the effort to restore peace around the world. Trump will continue to work towards ensuring Iran cannot obtain a nuke. See, I think that's a little bit open-ended, because what did Iran say recently? Iran was like, it's the nuke we're worried about, right? We're still willing to do it. I think that you are right, that Israel is going to, they don't have the presence of mind. Netanyahu can't stop. He doesn't have a reverse gear. He doesn't have, maybe it's taking our life on its own or whatever it is. They're going to not stop, and they're going to force Iran to have no choice. And Iran's going to, I mean, think about this. Israel started a war with Iran over a matter of Iran's right under international law to refine uranium. Like they're allowed to do that. And you're going to bomb them over that? You can't do that, right? This is not a done deal yet. Something that will be discussed at the leader level. Iran wishes to de-escalate its conflict with Israel. See, look, he's saying he believes Iran wishes to de-escalate. Does this mean that he's saying Israel does not want to de-escalate? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days. They had 60 days. On the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal. It's painful for both parties. I'd say Iran is not winning this war. They should talk. They should talk immediately before it's late. That shows you everything. Okay. That shows his hand.
Iran did say that they don't want a war. They came straight up and they said, we don't want to go to war with Israel. We don't want to attack Israel. But if we're attacked, we're going to respond in kind. And that's what they said. I think it was yesterday or today. So, I don't know. Tactic. It seems to me like they were pretty direct.
This is Donald Trump doing a pressure tactic. He's just being regular real estate mogul.
Right.
He's trying to be a good cop, bad cop. I wanted to make a deal, but they didn't want to make a deal, and now this thing happened. You better make a deal fast, right?
That only works for on weaklings like Keir Starmer and Mark Carney and guys like that, like real cowards. It'll work, like just wimps, but it's not going to work on
it's not going to work on
guys.
Iran, who's going to win the war. If there's a war, Iran's going to win the war, so it's not going to work on them. Just the same way that it didn't work with Russia. Why? Because the Russians are just going to win the war. If you can't have an agreement, well, they're just going to win the war. How do you like them, Toastros? How do you like them? Anyway, Trump's counterparts of the G7 plan to press the U.S. leader on his strategy for dealing with Israel and Iran. Officials from multiple delegations said as the spiraling Middle East conflict shadows the first days of the summit. Trump's fellow leaders want a clearer picture of how long the U.S. intends to allow the conflict to continue, or whether Trump plans to apply pressure on U.S. or Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to de-escalate. And right away, look, he's like, okay, I got to meet with these losers. I'm not even going to sign their thing. But I had a phone call with Putin. And he believed that the leader could act as a mediator. Macron dismissed the idea during a visit to Greenland, saying Moscow's own violation of the UN Charter in Ukraine disqualified from acting as a peace broker. Oh, my gosh, dude. France is one to talk. France was part of the, what did they call it? The France, Germany, Russia, Ukraine pact. What was it?
Minsk.
Yeah, the guys that did Minsk. There was a whole name for them. There was a whole name for the group that ended up coming together and doing Minsk, and those countries were part of it. And notably, the U.S. and the U.K. were absent. That's part of the reason why they sabotaged Minsk. But anyway. They threw Russia out, which I claim was a very big mistake, even though I wasn't in politics. Trump said not having Putin at the table makes life more complicated. When later asked about Putin joining, he said, I'm not saying he should at this point because too much water has gone over the dam. Yeah, but he's still throwing it out there like he's thinking about it. All right, well.
The thing about it is, it's like, I find it hilarious because Russia has straight up said they have no interest in rejoining the G7. Right? They've said that, and so I don't even know what these guys.
Is this a negotiation? Right? We won't let you join the G7. Is this reverse psychology, Trump?
No, I honestly think Trump believes that the U.S. is more powerful and more economically strong and everything than it actually is. So
we can't even bully our own vassals.
It's not even bullying. It's, hey, we'll let you join the cool club with us as if that was some great prize. And maybe it was 25 years ago. It's not now. But a lot of these people, your Trumps and a lot of these Washington types, they're still thinking in this mentality that what they have to offer is what the world wants. And I'm afraid that that ship has sailed. And all I see everywhere I look is the world just moving on, with the exception of the vassal states who don't know what to do. So you've got
the king.
You've got like 150 countries in the world who are just moved on, and then you've got 10 or so who are just like your Canadas, your EU's, your Australia's, your Japan's, the G7 basically. And everybody in the G7 doesn't know what to do because we've basically been abused for the last 80 years. And now our abuser is dying. And we're like, well, who's going to take care of us now? That's what it feels like. So, and we don't know what else to do because we're vassal states. We don't know any better anymore. We don't know how to be independent.
Think about how everybody thought that Biden would be a breath of fresh air and there would be adults in the room again. And then what did we get? We got Antony Blinken. We got the Ukraine war. Like, we got the most disastrous acceleration of the loss of U.S. hegemony. If there was still, if there was a fight,
had that with Trump too. You would have had that with Trump. I'm convinced. Like, there's continuity of agenda with all these presidents, man. Like, you can't think that Trump isn't part of the deep state. He is, right? He's just a different part of the deep state, and they manage him differently. They'd rather not have him in because he is so difficult to manage, but they'll work with him, and they know how to manipulate him now. So, but he's just another tool like everyone else.
He does have an ego, and the thing is, he does have, even now, you could debate how much it's eroded, but he still has his loyal followers, cult of personality people. There's people are out there. I know I'm related to some of them. Like, I am related to a couple of hardcore Trumpers, and I live in a kind of a conservative state, so that's not surprising. And some of these people, they're not political. Like, they don't follow the news at all. Like, this is what they're at, right? You talk to them about Trump, they're like, he's going to bring tax cuts. I'm going to pay less in taxes. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Some of these people that I know have small businesses. Maybe they will benefit from that. Some of them have, well, I think something is going to, I think the child tax credit might be improved or something like this, right? So some of these people are going to see some kind of a difference. They don't, and the rest of it, they don't know. They don't care. They barely know or care about the Ukraine war. That's like people that are paying attention to geopolitics just understand that that's a huge thing to talk about. But in America, a lot of people checked out. In Israel, okay, I think there's a little bit of that Christian Zionist kind of thing that maybe people kind of follow it more. But it's eroded a lot because over this whole genocide business, I mean, I was never super political on the Israel-Palestine issue. Like, I was like, more or less, I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess free Palestine, right? But I didn't know that much about it. It was just not an issue that I had a deep concern about either way.
Sure. Well, why would you, right? Like,
and now it's impossible. Now it's impossible not to. Now they've look how much they've blown it. Look how much they've lost their and dragged the Americans down with them, dude. They dragged us with them. They lost their face, their credibility, whatever they had, and then they dragged us.
America did. You guys did that all to yourselves. Like, this is bigger than Israel, right?
They made it worse, man. I'm telling you.
What you've seen, the erosion of, we were talking about soft power in the US and the erosion of soft power. Yeah, that's almost entirely because of social media, I think, because the wizardry, the behind the curtain, schemes that are going on are becoming more and more visible each and every day. So you've got, outfits like WikiLeaks breaking stuff and unleashing on all sorts of documents.
Well, WikiLeaks is a precursor to that. Now, I think
but I'm getting there. Like, basically what we've seen over the last, like, since I'll call it the real internet age, right? Because this is before your time, but the first 10 years or so of the internet was kind of shit, and we were trying to figure it out. But I'll say maybe about 20 years ago.
Before my time. I grew up on the internet. You could still have somewhat of an old internet experience. I don't know. Continue talking.
No, but what I mean is, I've been alive throughout the entire journey of it, right? And I would argue that, really the internet only has become valuable as a sharing tool with social media really in the last 15 to 20 years, right? And largely it's accelerated since the pandemic for whatever reason. So people have got a lot more access to information in real time that they can see with their eyeballs. And you can't beat that narrative, right? You cannot beat that narrative. So when we hear about what butchers Hamas are, we hear about all the evil things that are going on wherever in the world, and you can just go on your phone and see it for yourself. And then all of a sudden you realize, wow, I'm really being lied to from these New York Times folks or these Washington Post, wherever, Sky News, you name it, right?
That's what I want to do. I want to look up. Go ahead. Keep talking.
And then you start to kind of like, quote, do your own research. And that's when, the gloves come off and you realize that you've just been lied to 100% of the time for God knows how long. And then there's no going back from that.
I love that Jimmy Dore joke where remember how much they gave people shit for doing their own research. And he was like, I remember back in the day, it was used to just be called reading.
Yeah. And now where we're at now is all the young people, all these Gen Z and alphas, whatever, they know what's what. They're based, they're good. The millennial folks, just a weak ass generation who has been like really mentally kind of what's the word, assaulted. and the millennial crowd were really brought up in a generation with some wacky ideas. I don't know that there's any hope for the millennials at all, to be honest. And then you got your boomers; they'll all be dead soon. And it's the boomers who are still
the boomers. You know what? The boomers are like why they're universally hated. And you know what it is? Like, what is it that a lot of them, just in my personal experience, feel entitled. Like, guys, don't do the thing that everybody says that you do. Sure. Like, don't fall into that stereotype of acting entitled. That's what everybody says that you are. Don't do that. Go ahead.
It's your boomers who are the most entitled. They are the most racist. Everything, you name it. Like for the average boomer, the idea that China can be economically superior, like they can't wrap their head around that.
I think it's just good foil for them. They could always point to that, and they don't have to understand things. They could say it's all you millennials with your
no, it's not that. And also they're racist. China. They are all racist. They are all fucking racist. Every single one of them. They were all raised that way, man. They were all your parents, my parents. They were all raised to believe that white Westerners were the ones. We're like God's creatures. Yeah. And we just the rest of the world needs our guidance. Like we're like the Oracle of Delphi or some shit. It's just flat out racism in a lot of ways. Like, and these are the same people who say, well, I'm not racist. I play softball with a black man. Whatever. You're fucking racist. So yeah, they all just gotta fuck off and die. Sorry, Mom.
No, everybody's the same. I know some awesome old people, of course, but there's entitled boomers, that's for sure. Okay, let's see here. I went through archive in order for me to be able to read Haaretz without signing in and signing up and doing all this crazy crap. Let's see here. And they're literally not going to let me actually read the article. Wow. Anyway, 3 days into the new war between Israel and Iran, the rules of the game are starting to become clear. For now, it is primarily an endurance struggle and a competition to cause damage after landing a heavy opening blow and securing air superiority in Western Iran. Israel wants to guarantee sufficient time for effective hits on as many government, defense, and nuclear targets as possible in increasing order of priority. So they are still going at it. These guys are that's what I say. They're going to get their comeuppance. They've been asking for it. They're gonna get it. What's the fuck around, find out coefficient? I think is gonna happen. I think that people are gonna be. They've already lost a lot of credibility, and I think it's only gonna get worse.
Well, I think Israel's used up a lot of their weapons already. They've used a lot of their missiles. They're already short, apparently. But I still go back to I think this will be tit for tat. And Iran will stop it whenever Israel does. I don't think there's any real desire for Iran to escalate this at all. I mean, they're not gonna stand down, but I think give it a couple days, this will be done. I don't think there's much to this. I hope I'm right, but I just
Me too.
I've been reading this crap and I've been looking at this stuff my whole life. And there's always a pattern. And I don't think if you look at the body language of Trump at the G7 presser today, when they were talking about this, and you listen to other statements, it's clear he doesn't want to go into Iran because he knows what
we're
all
saying.
know, and that's cupboard's bare. So,
yeah. But if you look at CNN, man, they are pushing for war. All of the MSM, all the mainstream media is pushing for war. Okay, CNN. Besides CNN, I should take a look at Fox. Honestly, let's see.
Well, they don't know what to do. And again, what I was saying about the vassal states, same thing with the mainstream media. They don't know what to do either, right?
Of course, look at Fox. Evangelical leaders praise Trump's continued support for Israel amid war with Iran. So, okay, crazy people are happy that crazy things are happening. Yeah. And look, they're even showing, this is straight up Israeli propaganda. It's Iranian state TV hit by Israel. This is what Haaretz is showing. They're showing this. I'm not seeing too much of massive strikes on Israel kind of being shown. The scary crap about hypersonic rockets, but we are saying this like, oh, well done. Yeah, you hit
well, I
the
didn't
TV
know.
station.
I didn't know we were killing journalists now, but anyway, I guess.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay, well, right. Israel has a record about this, the killing journalists.
No, but I mean, what I mean is, right front page of Fox News. Hey, look, we're blowing up their.
Oh yeah, and we're even carrying their water. Well, I mean, it's Fox News. Fox News has been that way. Like I think Fox News does serve their audience. Maybe it's a little bit to some extent like audience capture. I don't know. Maybe not.
Here's my summary of this whole conflict. I think Bibi was under immense pressure earlier on in the week. He was on the verge of getting kicked out. He was on the verge of then getting arrested, going to jail. I think he cooked this shit up. And it was probably plans have been in the works for God knows how long. And I think he probably told Trump it was a slam dunk and said, yeah, we're going to be able to do this, and there's going to be a cover leverage, blah. And then stupid head, not, processing anything because he doesn't do that. He just said, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
So then they went ahead, they did it.
I want to be part of it. Now I'm a winner too.
Yeah. And now it's blown up in their face again. And now they need to back out of it because Trump won't go into Iran. And like I said, they'll lob some more missiles at each other a couple days, and that'll be it.
See, here's my estimation. Here's how I look at the conflict. To me, it looks like from Trump's side, he thought, because he came out there and he straight up said, oh, they had 60 days and it's the day 61. I knew this was going to happen or whatever, right? It looked fool. But anyway, so that from Trump's perspective, he thought that he was going to have this pressure campaign. They're going to pressure them. They're going to make a big spectacle of the fact that, oh, we're going to throw American aircraft carriers coming there. American THAAD missiles are being used to shoot down Iranian stuff, right? Yep. So he was using it as a pressure tactic. Mm-hmm. Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to pull the United States into an actual war with Iran. So from Bibi's perspective, he thinks that, and he hopes that he can finagle this thing and pull this rabbit out of a hat somehow. So he wants to pull that off, right? The Iranians are still, or they have to push back, and they have to show that they aren't going to be fucked with, right? And to the Americans as well as to the Israelis. But I think in a way, the smartest thing for Israel to do is to find a way out right now. Start the media propaganda spin war, find a way to say mission accomplished. We want home. They're not getting a nuke, right? But no matter what, Iran has demonstrated. Do not fuck with Iran. Iran is not Syria. The Iranians, they're not even the Houthis. And they are capable of this. The Iranians have actual hypersonic rockets. The Iranians have actual anti-aircraft systems, right? The Iranians hacked excuse me article we were reading before, right? Iranians hacking into Israeli AD systems, right? Anti-air systems. So
Well, the
Iran showed that
Israelis
they're
did
not to
that
be
to
fucked
the
with.
Iranians too.
They have depth. If you keep pushing it, they're going to demonstrate that this is not a bluff. They do have that depth. They can lob more rockets than you can, Israel. Let's say, okay, I really hope you're right. They'll all lob all the rockets they have. They exhaust each other's rockets, you know, or and then the Americans don't go in, and then that's going to be all that it could be. Okay, I could see maybe that playing out, but I think that if it continues, and then how wars are unpredictable, they take on a life of their own, and one side can't back down, the other side can't back down. China is supporting Iran. You are not going to win this, right? China is much closer than Iran. If China had to dig an underground tunnel through freaking Pakistan to get to Iran, I bet you they could do that like this, bitch. I bet they could totally get that done. You are not going to stop them. And if they've decided to do that, that's it, right? Back away, tail between legs. If the Russians are outproducing NATO, all of NATO, 4-1 combined, what do you think you're going to do against China? Okay.
Well, I go back to, it has nothing to do with China. Putin's the key player here because Putin has an interest in that region. And I think that any chance, like I said before, any chance at this point of Iran not saying fuck it and developing a nuke is and develop a nuke within the next month, I mean, like very soon, will be up to Putin and whether or not he can convince them to agree to a non-proliferation deal. Now, that's going to be a hard sell at this point, right? Because if you're the Iranians, I'd be like, yeah, thanks, Vlad, but no thanks. We're done. And but I don't see anybody else being able to convince the Iranians at this point.
More magnanimous than you and I, man. We agree. The smart thing to do at this point in time is develop that freaking nuke. And the fact that Iranians are still saying we're willing to do this, and that the Americans are saying all we are really concerned about is that nuke. And the Israelis, okay, I don't know, maybe get your rocks off or something, right? Okay, and then get rid of the actual regime that's a problem in the region, and that is the freaking Israeli regime. They're like, oh, there's no innocent people in Gaza. There's no innocent people in the Knesset, as they say. Okay, let's watch the 2 scoops of crazy. I'm falling asleep here, dude. I am out. I can't. I'm barely staying awake.
So speaking of the G7 meeting, let me just set the table for you. So after the Carney and Trump had their little tete-a-tete, they had a little press conference that Carney had to end early because Trump was just running his mouth. And so let me just show it to you. It's a long conference, but it's just at the end.
They work together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that was a mistake because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But
oh, yeah.
Work out that way. But
saying, oh, shit.
The G8, and now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake, even though
keep
I
straight face, keep a straight face, keep a straight face.
It was a mistake in that you spent
no, he's like, what the fuck?
About Russia, and he's no longer at the table.
He's trying to keep a steely face, like stiff upper lip.
Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah, so much. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, on up a deal with Canada.
Say it.
What is holding up a deal with Canada from your perspective?
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept, and Mark has a different concept, which is something.
That's what it is, man. It's a concept. He's got a tariff concept.
We're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person. I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly.
You know what's funny is I'm not a tariff person, but now we're all tariff people because we pay them.
But also very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to see what we're going to come out with something. Hopefully.
Mr. President, are you on a deal? Do you think a deal is achievable within days, within weeks? Is there that kind of runway?
Yeah, it's achievable. Both parties have to agree. Yeah, sure.
Mr. President, have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late. Doing very well right now.
Why not have China at the G8?
Person about it, I can tell you that. He
He
basically doesn't even speak to the people that throw him out, and I agree with him.
Trump looks as tired as I am right now.
Go ahead.
Well, on immigration, why are you ordering ICE to target Democratic inner cities? What's behind that?
I don't know what you're saying.
You did a post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democratic.
Yeah, here it comes.
Focus on the cities, because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York, I look at Chicago. I mean, you got a really bad governor in Chicago and a bad mayor, but the governor's probably the worst in the country, Pritzker. But I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals, and you know, New York and LA, look at LA. LA, those people weren't from LA, they weren't from California, most of those people.
So this presser was supposed to be a half an hour. What are we, like 5 minutes in?
Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country. Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails.
He's doing this
out
on
into
purpose.
The US. Most of those people are in the
He's
cities.
rubbing it in.
All blue cities, all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, but look, watch Kearney.
That's it. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as G7 chair, since we have a few more minutes with the president and his team, and then we actually have to start the meeting to address some of these big issues. So
Thank you. Thank you, media. Let's go. Up. Thank you. That's it. That's it. Thank you very much.
Damn.
Out. Guys. Out.
Haha. That's what I have to say about that.
Katie, let's go.
Now, that was
That's
supposed
why
to be
they're
like
so
a half an
popular.
hour. It was supposed to be like a half an hour, and that was like, what, 5 minutes?
That
So
was amazing.
Kearney,
I love that.
well, Kearney obviously was freaking out about Trump talking about Putin and Xi and the Democrats, because you can't make fun of the Democrats, because keep in mind the Democrats are the deep state, right?
Mhm.
All these people like the Kearneys, the Macrons of the world, they're all in survival mode now. And their plan is we just need to wait Trump out. We need to wait Trump out until best case scenario, the midterm elections, worst case scenario. What's that? I know, but
Too late.
They want him gone, and they want the old way. And they think that as long as if we can get Trump out of office, or we can mute his power through Congress and the Senate, we'll go back to the good old days, right? Where the international rules-based order flows, U.S. aid funding for all, blah, blah, blah. This is what their plan is. So when Kearney starts hearing all this stuff, obviously he has to cut it down. And that's what he did. And yeah, it just shows you another example of freedom of the press, freedom of speech. It's just eroded.
Ironic, dude.
Just eroded. So yeah.
All right, guys, I gotta go to sleep. I'm out, passing out. I had a big, massive early day today, and I'm not a morning person. So But
well,
anyway,
you do that, and I'm gonna go have a joint. So everybody have a great week, and I'm
right,
sure
guys.
it'll be exciting. You know, the next several days will be literally lit. But
Yep. Oh man,
right,
it's
peace
gonna
out,
be
everyone.
yep, it's gonna be the world going to
Cheers.
hell in a handbasket. Peace.
Cheers.
Oh man.